First principles thinking. Sometimes it's referred to as first principles mentality. What it really is it takes a complicated problem, it's a way of taking a complicated problem, reverse engineering it, and bringing it down to its simplest elements, and then taking it back from those simple, most basic elements, and then recreating something that is what we would call truly groundbreaking. You know, there's incredible engineers, it's typically an engineer's term, that use this type of thinking to create products or things that we consider to be amazing. You know, one of the most, I think, common ones that people refer to would be Elon Musk with Tesla. Obviously, he's doing it again with rockets, with SpaceX. You know, there's engineers all around the world that use this principle, this first thinking principle, first principles mentality. And what just to kind of give you a bit of more texture, context to what that really is if you were to take a really complex thing, let's call it a car, for example, with the example of Tesla, and he would to say, okay, I'm gonna take this car, this Ford, and I'm gonna make this Ford better. You know, they do a lot of things great, and so I'm gonna make it better. I'm gonna improve this element. I'm gonna make it a little faster, a little bit more fuel, you know, economic or whatever. You're going to end up with just another vehicle. That's what's going to end up happening. But if you take the principle and you say, I want to create a vehicle that does this, X, whatever it happens to be, and you break that down and you say, you know, these are the elements that I want to accomplish with this drive, with this feeling. You know, I want to create a feeling out of the drive. I want it to be quiet. I want it to be, you know, luxurious and beautiful, and I want it to, you know, not affect the environment, for example. You know, whatever the base principles are that you've decided for that. I need the storage to be incredible. Once you've decided that, then you need to re-engineer it from the ground up and say, okay, how do I fix these problems? I have these issues that I need to overcome, these hurdles that I need to overcome, and I need to fix those issues so that I can create a product at the end of the day that fulfills the vision that I actually had for that product. That's what Jason Hill is doing with the HX50. That's what this project is really all about. It's not about creating another helicopter. It's about taking this first principles mentality and asking the question, what is a helicopter really designed for? A private helicopter specifically. You know, that's the question that Jason asked many years ago, actually. You know, he started this project a very long time ago, but about 15 years ago, he really started to seriously ask the question, if I were to build a helicopter, what would I want it to accomplish? And when you ask yourself that question, it totally reverse engineers what you think about when you think about building a helicopter, because it starts with the mission, the objective in mind, and then once you've decided that, now you just have to figure out how to make it happen. So when Jason thought about this, you know, he actually started, funny enough, interesting story, he started with a two-seat helicopter. He thought, you know what, maybe the best way to bring an aircraft to market is to make it, you know, cheaper and just nicer, more sexy in every way. And so he thought, okay, well, the best way to start is a two-seat helicopter. And he found out very quickly through some talking to people and research and understanding of what a market really wants in this category is that that's not actually what you want from a private helicopter. People want to take their friends, they want to take their family, they want to take their dog or their pet or whatever happens to be. And they want to be able to take that aircraft on a journey. You know, they want to go somewhere, they want to experience something, and they want to do it with multiple people. And so a two-seat helicopter was not the right choice for that objective. And so it became apparent very quickly that a five-seat helicopter was the only way to go. And then when you start looking at the questions, okay, I want to take 5 comfortably sized people. And comfortably sized, you know, let's take the average male in North America is around 200 pounds, so comfortably sized people, 200 pounds, 95 kilos, somewhere in that range. Of course, those people are going to want to take some baggage, so we need to be able to have a nice big luggage or baggage compartment and be able to take the baggage that they need. You need to be able to take at least 3 hours worth of fuel. That's a bare minimum, but we probably want to create the fuel tank big enough for maybe 5 hours worth of fuel, so you can go on a nice long journey somewhere, maybe 2 hours out and then 2 hours back, So a 4-hour round trip, but you don't have to think about where am I going to get fuel on that trip. So you want to be able to take enough fuel for that journey as well. And then, you know, once I've got that helicopter loaded up with all the things that I want, the people that I love and so forth, well, what is the objective for that flight? Well, I want to be able to take those people in comfort and luxury and refinement, in the same comfort that I would have if I was, you know, in my BMW or my Mercedes or my Bentley or whatever it happened to be. And so I need to create that aircraft as luxurious as one of those types of automobiles, right? And then what should that ride, that experience actually feel like? Well, I need it to be comfortable, which we talked about. I need it to be quiet and smooth, and I need it to be fast. That's the other thing, because you know, you want to be able to get from here to there, and if it's a longer journey, you want to be able to get there fast enough. And so that's another really important consideration, is the speed of that aircraft. You have to make sure that it's a fast helicopter. And then lastly, and probably one of the really important things as well, is the performance of that aircraft. You know, I want to be able to load all those things up, and I don't want to have to worry about it. You know, I don't want to have to sit there and think about, can I land at 4,500 feet if it's 20 degrees out? That's going to be really tight. I just want to know that when I load it up, I've got the power to do the things that I need to do. And so you need to be able to create enough performance to be able to have that helicopter go up to 10,000 feet at full gross weight on a +15 ISA day. And you need that helicopter to be able to hover out of ground effect at that altitude and those conditions, and still be able to vertically climb at least 300 feet per minute out of a confined area, you know, vertically out over trees. That's what this aircraft really needs to be able to accomplish. And so, you know, once you've established that mission, that objective, then you need to start problem solving. And that's Jason's life for the last 15 years or so, has been problem solving every one of those elements. How do I make this happen? And so, you know, it starts from the base elements. Well, we need an engine to deliver those types of specifications for us. So he went to the best people in the engine design and manufacturing business. He brought together the team of experts that have been working in this space for over 50 years. And he brought those people to this project and said, let's design an engine, not from scratch, but from something that already exists. And so they took another engine that they had worked on years before that, has 2.5 million hours of service time on it, so it's incredibly proven technology. And then they modified that engine to make it exactly specific to this helicopter, which has actually never been done before. When you look at engines that are in helicopters in general, whether it's a piston or a turbine, they were actually never designed for a helicopter. They were designed for a tractor, for an airplane, you know, for different things, but they were never specifically designed for a helicopter. And so, you know, this engine is being 100% spec'd and specifically designed for not just a helicopter, but for this helicopter, for the HX50. So that was a really important element. They had to make sure that it was based on that incredibly proven technology, so that when they do start testing it and running it on a bench, they know it's going to work. It's a proven technology. You know, you need to spec the gearboxes, for example, to make sure that they have the same safety and redundancy and testing and robustness. So they brought together, again, an incredible team headed up by the lead engineer that's been around for the last 35 years working on the most incredible gearboxes with Leonardo Helicopters. He's the lead designer of this team on the gearboxes. So again, you know, with the latest run-dry necessities for the gearbox, all of the best technologies on that. You know, composites, well, you have to make the airframe light, and so he brought together the best that he could in the composite world from Formula One and across the spectrum to be able to make sure that we've got this incredibly strong, robust monolige, this incredible cabin that's fully carbon fiber, lightweight, incredibly strong, incredibly robust. The rotor system, fully composite rotor blades, elastomeric Sveriflex type bearing on the rotor hub, so that's going to make it a fully articulated soft and plain rotor system. Incredible design, aerodynamic, the way that he's designed it, so that's important. The airframe, incredibly aerodynamic. He spent a huge amount of time and effort working on the aerodynamics of the airframe to be able to make it fast, you know, to be able to get rid of the undercarriage. That's why the retractable landing gear. It does have an option for skids if people want it, but you know, to be able to have that retractable landing gear so that you can actually get rid of that drag, which is actually 30% of your drag on the helicopter when you're in forward flight, and help bring the speed up. The cowled in rotor head is another dramatic way that that speed comes up, because another 30% of your drag actually comes from the rotor head. So you cowl that all in with the nice fairings that are around that rotor hub, and that's going to bring your speed up as well. So, you know, thinking about those types of elements. So going into detail into each of these aspects and bringing, you know, expertise from the automotive world, from the design of the automotive world, and saying, you know, what's the best in luxury and refinement of the interior of a cockpit of a helicopter, and taking the elements from the automotive world, bringing in the best of the seat design and the comfort of that, ergonomics, to make sure that the seats are as comfortable as possible. So every element, you know, Jason has been problem solving for the last 15 years, saying what's the best way to do this, and then figuring out, when we combine this all together, how can we make it for a price that makes sense? Because, you know, it's one thing to take, you know, an engine off the shelf from a manufacturer, and a gearbox and rotor blades and a rotor hub and, you know, bearings and all these things and avionics and so forth, to bring those all together and then put a helicopter out there. That's possible. People do that. But unfortunately, there's always going to be compromises when you do that. You know, that you're not going to quite get the performance that you want, or if you do, there's a sacrifice in how much fuel it burns or how much it costs, all these kind of things. Cost is always a big element to that whole thing. You put all those elements together, and what you end up getting is a okay helicopter that costs way too much money. And there's examples of that out there. But when you bring those things in-house and you say, we're going to bring the engine in-house, we're going to bring the gearboxes in-house, the bearings in-house, the rotor in-house, all of these elements, the avionics in-house, and you have the ability with the experts in those fields to manufacture them in-house, you can control the cost. And when you can control the cost, then that means you can control not only the purchase price of that aircraft, but the long-term operating costs of that aircraft as well. And this, at the end of the day, you know, people look at HX50, they look at the aircraft and they say, you know what, that just looks too good to be true. You know, there's so many things, it's what I've always dreamed of for a helicopter, there's so many things about it, but it just looks too good to be true. And we have to go back to the, you know, the last 10 minutes of what I've just been saying and ask ourselves, is it too good to be true? Or is it just a lot of really good engineering and a lot of problem solving and a lot of question asking over the last 15 years and using first principles thinking and saying, does it have to be done the original way, or can I reverse engineer this? Can I go back to the base element of what I want to accomplish with this, and then can we just figure out a way to make it happen? And that's what first principles thinking is all about. And Jason is, I think, going to be known as the next great first principles thinking mentality. You know, people are going to look back in 20 years from now and go, that was a guy like an Elon Musk, or like a Steve Jobs, or like a Johnny Ive, that, you know, looked at a product and said, let's reverse engineer this. Let's think about the base elements. Let's work from the ground up, and let's design what people want. Let's not say, oh, well, let's take what's out there right now and let's make it a little bit better. Let's just design what people want. And that's why when people look at this, they go, man, I sure hope it actually comes to reality, because it's what we've dreamed for the last 40 years. It's what we've been hoping for. And so, you know, people look at this and they go, it seems too good to be true, but if it is true, I can't wait to fly it. And what this video is all about, the reason I'm doing this video is because we've gotten the opportunity to know Jason over the last 3 years. We've gotten, you know, very inside information into this whole project. We understand it extremely well, inside and out. We know where he's been, we know where he is today, and we know that with confidence he's bringing this aircraft to market. He's bringing it to market on time, on budget. You know, everything is fully on track with this project, and so it just gets me excited every single day, and that's why I wanted to bring that onto this video, is because, you know, this is the next wave of aircrafts. This is what's going to be coming to market now, and we're just excited for it. I'm just really thankful that Jason is using this principle, this mentality, to bring an aircraft to market that we've been waiting for such a long time. So thank you, Jason. We're all excited to be seeing this aircraft flying. Obviously next year prototypes start flying. We just had that announcement, so we're super excited about that. 2023, the aircraft's coming to market. Very, very excited about that. So thank you guys for watching. If you did like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. We're gonna talk to you on the next one. See ya.